Okay, so for this question, we've got to solve this equation for x greater than or equal to minus 180 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. So you might want to fast forward if you had a go at this, because it's quite a long solution. I'm going to take you slowly through it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is make sure that we change this into the same trig function if possible. And we can, because cos squared x, we can change it to 1 minus sine squared x. Remember, the identity is that sine squared x plus cos squared x is equal to 1. So if we replace that cos squared x then with 1 minus sine squared x, we can now expand this bracket and group together our terms. So we've therefore got, well, we've got the 3 sine squared x here, and if I expand this, we get minus 9 sine squared x. So I'm going to add 9 sine squared to both sides, and that's going to give me 12 sine squared x. Then we've just got this sine x term here, plus sine x, and I can see that we end up with 9 here, 9 times the 1. Subtract 9 from both sides, and we've got 8 minus 9 is minus 1. And so we've got our quadratic equation here in terms of sine x. And it factorizes. You could use the formula if you want, the quadratic formula, but since it factorizes, might as well take that opportunity up. You'll see that you get 4 sine x here in one bracket multiplied by 3 sine x there. That will give us the 12 sine squared x, and then minus 1 and a plus 1 here. Minus 1 times the 1 is the minus 1, and you can see you're going to get 4 sine x minus 3 sine x, which is the plus sine x, and this equals 0. So that means that each of these two factors would equal 0. So if 4 sine x minus 1 equals 0, rearranging that for sine x, you'd get sine x equals 1/4. And if 3 sine x plus 1 equals 0, you'd get sine x equals minus 1/3. Okay? So I'll take each of these equations in turn. And if we look at when sine x equals 1/4, let's just put this down. We would have x equaling the inverse sine then of 1/4. And to solve this, what I'm going to do is not use a graph, I'm just going to use the quadrant method. If you're unfamiliar with the quadrant method, do check out my tutorials on this. Remember, sine x is a positive value 1/4, and it would be positive in the first quadrant and the second quadrant. And I draw 2 lines then, equal angle to the horizontal axis here. And remember, this is at 0 degrees, okay? And then we go 90, 180, 270, 360 in that direction. Okay, so what would we expect? Well, when you use your calculator in degrees mode, you get an answer which is in fact 14.477 and so on degrees. So that is in the range that we want. X is 14.477 and so on degrees. And that is this first angle in here, okay? 14.477 and so on degrees. Now, that's one of the solutions. When we turn in that direction, that's a possible x. That's this one here. And the other one that we want will be turning from here all the way around until we get to that line there. And that solution is just going to be 180 degrees minus 14.477 degrees. And if you do that, you'll find you get 165.522 and so on degrees. Okay, and that's that other solution there. All right, so let's move on now to working out our other equation, that is sine x equals minus 1/3. And when we do that one, we find that x would equal the inverse sine then of negative 1/3. And if you do this on your calculator, you'll find that you get x equaling minus 19.471 and so on degrees. Okay, and that's to be expected, because if you look at your quadrant diagram, just draw that again, 0 degrees there. When you've got a negative value for sine, okay, let's just put that in brackets, you can expect your answers to be in the 3rd and 4th quadrant. So if I was to draw two lines equally inclined then to the horizontal line here, then we find that that negative angle is a turn in this direction. Its magnitude though is, let's just mark that in, its magnitude is 19.471 degrees and so on, okay, degrees. So the values of x that we need here, turning in this range, okay, up to negative 180, one of them will be this one, which is x equals minus 19.471, and the other one would be turning from here all the way around to this line, okay, in the negative sense. So we've got the first angle then, okay, which is that red one, minus 19.471, and to get the green one, all I've got to do is just from minus 180 degrees, just back off 19.471 degrees. And if you do that, you'll also get x equaling minus 160.528 and so on degrees. Okay. Now, we've got to give our answer, say, to 2 decimal places in this range. So in summary, let's just round all of those up. In ascending order of size, we've got x equals minus 160.53 degrees, minus 19.47 degrees, and in the first 2 quadrants we've got 14.48 degrees, and we've got 165.52 degrees. All of those answers then are to 2 decimal places, 2 dp. Okay, so I hope you're able to see your way through that. If there are any problems, that you've got them sorted now. So it just leaves me to say thanks for watching. Hopefully see you in another video.